there are nude bars in Angeles. Yes, they are run down and old, and there really is no industry in these small towns. And I often wonder, like, while driving through these towns, how these families are able to put food on the table. It really seems like a earn enough food to put on the table kind of lifestyle. But they do seem to get by. And you could also argue that all these very poor people seem to have cell phones. So try and figure out, like, how do they pull that off? I really don't even think they know how they pull it off, but they seem to be doing okay with very little money. Like they'll have 8 kids and, they hardly make anything, but everyone gets fed. Everyone goes to school. I remember I asked one poor family how this sister got a cell phone, and they said that this girl, she got her cell phone by working all vacation. So like 2-3 months. She had a vacation from school, and she was able to save enough money she bought a 3,000 peso phone that she was very happy with. And I think that's very respectable. Imagine a kid in America being given that phone. They'd probably throw it on the ground because it wasn't an iPhone. But this girl worked hard by herself and bought the phone by herself. It's hard to not really respect that. I mean, she was a pretty girl. She could have been twerking on TikTok and asking Sims for money, but no, she wanted to do it the diligent way. Very respectful girl. Actually, there are nude bars in Angeles, but the thing is, you're not allowed to talk about them. I won't mention any names, but there is one vlogger who did put on his video that there is a particular bar with nudity. The show is on this particular day and time, but word of this, it just spreads by word of mouth for people who are living there in Angeles. Like the tourists, the people who are there short time, they don't really know about it. Like there is no advertising, but there is a lineup to get in. So what happened when the owner found out that this particular vlogger talked about this, okay, the specifics? The repercussions were that this vlogger was called into the bar in question and was ordered to buy all of the girls a ladies' drink. And then he had to make some other payments too, but I forgot the specific other payments he had to make. And he did pay, and he deleted the video. So forgive me for not being able to say anything about it. But trust me, there are nude bars in Angeles City. Andy gets the question of the year. And I agree with you. Like, why come to the Philippines and have a drink if you can have a drink anywhere? Hard to argue with this. So I think I will change my plans and I'll head down to Pakistan and have a beer down there. But the problem is, if I have a drink in Pakistan, Andy will tell me why I'm having a drink in Pakistan if I could have a drink anywhere. So I'll just try my best to make Andy satisfied. Just pulling your leg, Andy. But hell of a great question. I think a common misconception is that the Philippines isn't safe. But in reality, you are safer here in the Philippines than you are in America. But in Butuan, I mean, you're very safe. Now, I always stay at the Red Doors there in Butuan because it's so close to the SM. But the Red Doors changed their names to something that's hard to remember. I wish hotels would understand the importance of having an easy to understand and remember name. But regarding like a recommended hotel in Butuan, my one recommendation would be to stay at any hotel near the SM because that is like the main center entertainment area of Butuan. And if you're far from there, you're going to have to deal with the trike drivers and the taxis and the traffic on the busiest roads. And they always have road construction in Butuan. It's lineups galore. So it's better just if you're able to walk from your location to the SM Mall, then you know you're at a good location in Butuan. If you can walk to the SM, then you can walk to the bars and most of the entertainment places. So just find a hotel on Google Maps that's near the SM and then book someplace that is in your budget. Yes, and they will tell you if it's filtered or not. Yes, they will, but it doesn't really matter because all the girls' pics are filtered, so there's no sense in even asking. And they won't show a picture to you if it's not filtered. I asked one girl, like, why do you want to lie to the guys you're chatting with? She says, I'm not lying. But a filter is important to a girl. It's like they're living in a fantasy world. It doesn't cross their mind that they will meet you in person at some point. Like the guy will meet you and he will see the reality of what the girl looks like. Imagine this, okay? A man is 5 foot tall, okay? But he has a tall filter, okay? It makes him look 6 feet tall. And he's bald, okay? But he's got a filter of him having a great head of hair. Okay, so does the girl want to see the pic of this filtered 6 foot guy? Or does she want to see the real deal, like his real height, his real hair? The answer is pretty obvious what the girl's going to say. I want to know the truth, she's going to say. Well, then my question to the girl is, if you don't want the guy to lie or misrepresent himself, then why are you doing that to him? You have to be fully honest. You have to gain the person's respect. Respect is earned, not given. You've got to treat the guy the same way you expect him to treat you. Why are you lying to the guy while you expect him to be honest? That's my question to the girls. I mean, you have to treat others the way you want to be treated yourself. Imagine you, the girl, expecting the world to treat you with respect, but you don't treat the world with respect. But women are a very tricky, particular breed of human. It's really hard to find a great girl. So if you have found a great girl, my great brethren, give her a pat on the back. So this dude, JJ, he's referring to like 90% of the girls who work in the bars, like working girls in Angeles are from Samar. Yes, that's true. That's very true. And that's because that's where the recruiting offices are. So most of the girls are shipped in from Samar. But this video in particular is talking about the slum babaroonies and how they're available. They are more commonly referred to by the expats there in Angeles, actually not as slum girls, but as barangay girls. I've heard this line many times, and the line goes like this, okay? Why get a bar girl for $5K when you can get a younger, prettier barangay girl for $2K? And that's right. The only issue is that the bar girls are readily available. They are the lower hanging fruit, while the barangay girls are sort of hidden in the slums. And they need to be found, and they're usually found via Facebook. The issue is that people just don't know they're available, because the common human nature is to see and hear just only what's in front of you. So yeah, the bar girls are from Samar and the barangay girls or slum girls are from Angeles City, probably born and raised there. They go out, they bang a foreigner, and they go back home and eat dinner with their fam. Yes, Baylor is just a really great town, albeit I would say it's not like a good town for a single guy like myself. It'd be a bit boring there, but I mean, it was a breathtaking beach and underrated. And the thing is that you never really hear about Baylor. It was never like busy. It had a laid back vibe, but props to Baylor for having a really, really nice beach. It's so nice actually that I'd love to go back there if I ever get like a solid girlfriend where it'd be worth going back. I'd love to walk down that beach if I got a hot babaroonie on my arm. One more thing I wanted to say about Baylor is that, look, I am, maybe you don't know, but I'm a very nostalgic person. I like to see things today as they were hundreds of years ago. So Baylor has a kind of a well-known story in its history in the Philippines. It was hit by a tidal wave in 1735, and only 7 families survived. And they survived by climbing up a cliff before the wave hit. It's a well-documented story. At the time, this cliff was called Mount Castillo, but the name changed and now it's called Ermita Hill. This is a memorial statue here that you can see, and it's sort of in remembrance of the 7 families that survived the tidal wave. So yeah, they waded up the hill and they were the only people to survive. I love these kinds of older stories. And let me tell you something interesting. The one thing I'm really excited about with AI video is that these older stories can then, with AI, they can come to life with real characters that look real, and they can simulate exactly what it was like in 1735, life in this town. And AI will be able to recreate this in real life. You'll be looking at what is seemingly real people. And I would love to make this story myself with AI. Trust me, I want to get into this kind of industry and create my own 10-minute stories. Just at the current time, it's sort of too expensive to create real life movies with AI. If you don't believe how real it is, just check out VO3 from Google. It's a movie maker. It's all AI. And I'll show some examples here. You can create like anything and it looks real. Like it looks like real people acting. But we got to wait like a year, I think, from now, and prices will come down and it'll actually be worthwhile in terms of like the cost to make will be less than the amount of money that can be generated. So right now it wouldn't make sense because it's just too expensive to use it. Have you guys ever wondered why Filipinas like a long nose? I mean, I've heard it since I was here as a teenager. It is just something that is really ingrained in the Philippine culture here. And I found it especially true in the province. And the smaller the village, the more they like a long nose. And remember, like compared to the Filipinos, like all of our noses are longer. I've asked Filipinos why they like a partner with a long nose. Like, what is it about a long nose? I mean, it's ugly to us, right? A long nose is pretty ugly. But their response is always the same. Because we have a small nose. That's what they say. But even they say that, I still don't get it. But it is what it is. The Great Dean. Yeah, let me tell you something that I find interesting. My whole adult life, like while teaching English in Korea, I lived in a different city every single year. Maximum I stayed in one place was 2 years during the 22 years I was there. Now, what I found was that no matter your accommodations and your surrounding area, like your neighborhood, no matter how much you don't like it at first, give it a week, a month, and it just starts to feel like home. I remember one time I lived in a cheap love hotel for 6 months in Seoul, Korea, just because it was like an Airbnb. It included everything, there was no contract, it was cheap. So of course, when I moved in, it was small and it smelt, right? And I didn't like it very much. It was just an old building, right? And also it was in like an old dilapidated part of Seoul. That area now, it's been torn down and it's been rebuilt since then. But while I was there in 2008-ish, like after a week, it felt like home to me and I wanted to stay at this location. It was convenient and it was cheap. It was 400,000 Korean won a month, including everything. So one time I brought a girl back to my place and she actually felt sorry for me. She later told me. So later, like we got to know each other, right? And she invited me to live in her place. And I was like, wow, cool. Hey, I was like 30 or so at the time, but my thinking was still like, Anyway, I'm still friends with that girl today, so shout out to her. No, actually, it's YouTube that doesn't allow filming on Walking Street. It is set into the software somehow with YouTube that if you film down Walking Street at night, you are automatically demonetized. And that's the real reason why Philly Willy in the Philippines stopped walking down Walking Street at night, as they used to do it all the time because it got good views. I don't know how YouTube is able to do that, but that's what happens. You can film Walking Street during the day. Okay, and then it will be monetized. But besides that, the working girls on Walking Street will be happy with the new blurring out laws, as they always want to cover their faces so that nobody in their hometown sees them. As they told their mom and dad they were going to Manila to work in a factory, when in reality, Kim Young-soon is blowing his jizz monkeys all over these girls on a daily basis. It's unfortunate. It really is a shame, as these girls, they sort of lose their soul in the process. I mean, who the hell wants to be jizzed on? If these girls were just born into a middle-class family, they wouldn't be working at a bar taking some perv's D on a daily basis. If they were born in a family that wasn't poverty-ridden, they'd be able to live the life that all the other girls in the world are able to live. They'd finish school, go to college, get married, and have a family. Unfortunately, it just is not in the cards for these girls. That's the reason why I never engaged with, the bars on Walking Street. I feel sorry for these girls. I see the girls every day while living in Angeles, and when I see them, all I can think about is like an alternative universe where, like, what would these girls be doing right now if she wasn't born in poverty? I mean, she's born in poverty, so she's bent over backwards taking Kim Young-soon's D, but what if she were born into a middle-class family? I think about this girl, like in the alternative universe. Had she been born into a middle-class family and she was seeing herself into a crystal ball, living a life of a girl born in poverty, now in Angeles City, taking the D. And she'd be shocked. She'd look at this crystal ball like, oh my God, I'm so thankful that's not me. But since she is living the life of a poverty girl in despair, she doesn't have anything to compare it to. Sorry for the long drawn out, whatever that was, folks. Let's move on to the next question. Technically, that is very true. Foreigners cannot buy land, and I've heard talk of ways around that, which are entirely too idealistic. Now, if you are a foreigner who wants to buy land in your name, there is one way to do it, although it won't be as you expect, okay? As like an outright ownership, but it's the closest thing to it. I'll explain that, but first, I just want to make a point here. The whole idea of not allowing foreigners to purchase property and limiting the amount of condos sold to foreigners is understandable in the way that you want to keep prices from rising for the locals, right? But look at it in a different way. First of all, you're making your landowners more poor by not allowing foreigners to purchase land. The idea is that you want to keep land affordable for those Filipinos who want to buy land. But really, these people who want land, the newly married couple, they can't afford land anyway. I mean, who is buying all the land? It's the wealthy, the people who are currently wealthy. So they'd be able to buy it even if foreigners were buying it. And if foreigners were able to buy more apartments, like now it can only be half, I believe. But if they were able to buy everything, then the developers could just build more apartment buildings. And then that would employ more people. Anyway, nobody cares about my opinion. Let's move on. Now, regarding a foreigner owning land, this is your best bet. Okay, listen to this. Okay, go to a lawyer and ask this lawyer about I don't know how you pronounce it, but an usufruct agreement. Okay, now what this does is you purchase the land physically, okay, but legally you are leasing the land. But a regular lease without a usufruct agreement means you can only lease it for 25 years. Now they say 25 plus 25. So at the end of 25, you rearrange the agreement. But if you've already built a nice house there, the guy's going to say screw this, I'm just going to take it myself and sell it. So don't do the leasing 25 plus 25 unless you are fine with just 25. But with a usufruct, you are leasing for life, okay? So you have a right to the land as long as you are alive. Not only that, but you can name others on the agreement, an unlimited amount of people as long as the owner agrees. So you will own the land as long as the people on the lease agreement are alive. When everyone on the lease agreement is dead, the original owner who sold you or leased you this land will now get his land back, or the descendants of the original owner. Now, if you are interested in that, talk to a lawyer about a usufruct agreement. I know a foreigner who actually did this. The lawyer can write everything up for you to have this done. Of course, if you are married, you can put the land in your wife's name. But this is a way for a single guy to own land. All right, that is it. More vids are on the way. I will see you on the very next vidarino, my good peeper boonies.